Here's what critics are saying about Halo on Paramount Plus. Is it time to throw in the towel on PC gaming? Is Xbox losing features? And are we already getting a pro version of the Series X? Let's discuss. So on the 24th, we're finally getting the Halo TV show that some people asked for, but I don't know. You know, video game adaptations into television are notoriously difficult to nail. And the last time people were really talking about the Halo TV show was when the trailer dropped, and the big takeaway from that was that, Cortana wasn't blue. What's going on? Cortana is not blue, and she's not even purple. What the hell is even that? Now, I gotta say, I'm not sure how badly people were wanting a Halo TV show. There are not a lot of video game adaptations to television or film that I would say are necessarily good. Castlevania, I really enjoyed. Season 3, it wasn't as good as the first 2 seasons, but the fights were still crazy. I would say after that, Wreck-It Ralph, even though that's not a direct video game adaptation, that's just a movie about video game characters. And with a franchise like Halo, very popular franchise, fan base is already built in, but you've kind of fight an uphill battle with that because the main character of Halo is Master Chief. And Master Chief, when he was first created, people weren't like, oh man, we're gonna make this character with a whole lot of depth and backstory. He was a faceless, badass, killing machine. His name was Master Chief. That is the most generic name out there. He's supposed to be like a Doom guy, pretty much. But as the games went on, as we all know, fans of the franchise, started to learn more about Master Chief, started to learn more about John 117, his past in the Spartan program, and with Dr. Halsey, his relationship with Cortana. So it's not like he's just this, faceless blank slate. So the first 2 episodes have already been reviewed by critics, and there are some things that, especially for fans, that are notably different in this TV show versus the Halo that we're used to. So the series begins in the year 2552 on Madrigal, which is described as a Tier 4 heavy water extraction planet. Now, the planet of Madrigal is apparently occupied by the UNSC. It's not a good time for the people on Madrigal. The UNSC has kind of taken on this shadier vibe, this sort of evil, authoritarian dictatorship vibe, imperialistic, I would say. They're using their military might in a way that is not necessarily good, where in the video games, it's very black and white. UNSC, good guys, Covenant, bad guys, brutes, bad guy. Anything that's not human, they're bad guys. Madrigal eventually comes under Covenant attack, and then they're saved by Spartans. So apparently everyone on Madrigal dies. I'm sorry, spoiler alert, I should have said. Except this one person, Quan, and she ends up becoming Master Chief's sidekick in a way. And apparently Master Chief, when he's on Madrigal fighting off these Covenant, finds this magical Covenant artifact that unlocks his memories from before he was a Spartan super soldier. His humanity is brought back to him. Again, I can see where they're trying to go with that. They're trying to inject that humanity in him. I don't know if that big of a departure is gonna turn off longtime fans of the series, which I assume they're trying to appeal to by making a Halo show in the first place. And unfortunately, I think this show is gonna get a lot of comparisons to The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. Same sort of concept. It's a guy in really awesome armor, badass, sci-fi setting. And I'm not sure if it can live up to what The Mandalorian ended up becoming. I love The Mandalorian. And The Hollywood Reporter, in its review of the first 2 episodes, says that Halo is aggressively forgettable, which is at least several steps up from bad. From what I gather from that, it is probably gonna be okay, but not the worst video game adaptation you can think of. Now, the series is gonna be airing on Paramount Plus. They had a sale going on where if you got Paramount Plus before the 7th, it was gonna be $3 for 3 months, but usually Paramount Plus is pretty cheap. It's only about $7 for my subscription. And now, whether or not it's gonna be worth it to you or not, just to pick it up for the Halo show, that's up to you. I use Paramount Plus because I have CBS incorporated into that, so I got to watch all the CBS football games during football season, so that was pretty nice. Either way, Halo is going to be coming out on the 24th on Paramount Plus. Let me know if you're going to be checking it out in the comments. So Windows Central, out of all people, released an article that says, "Give up on PC gaming for now and buy an Xbox." Very interesting. Now, as we all know, we are in the middle of a global semiconductor shortage, and those semiconductors are essential in making GPUs for our video game consoles, for graphics cards and things like that. I'm a big video game fan, but I don't know a lot about the physical hardware of things. I don't know exactly what they do, these semiconductors, but I know they're very important. There are experts out there that are saying that the shortage will wrap up more or less by the end of 2022, but again, not a tech guy, but I'm still not convinced that that's gonna happen. So I have this friend that for the past 2 years has been saying, oh, I'm gonna build my PC, I'm gonna build my rig, all I need is the graphics card. Simple, right? You just need one little part to complete your whole gaming situation. But 2 years later, and he still does not have a graphics card, and that is because it is nigh impossible to get one of these things. They're experiencing a very, 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 very short supply, and a lot of people want them. 3060s all the way up to the 3090s are nigh impossible, like I said, to buy, whether it's on Newegg, your local retailer, and if you do find them, they're gonna be jacked up to a price that is just insane. And the main argument for this article, good night, sweet PC, give up on PC gaming now and buy Xbox, for my friend especially, who has been waiting for almost 2 years to complete his PC setup, at any point in that time frame, could have bought a console. He could have picked up an Xbox Series S and played a lot of the modern games that are coming out right now. It's not perfect, it's not ideal, it's not the fanciest, but he could have picked it up for $300 and jumped in on Sea of Thieves with me, and we could have been having a great time. Microsoft seems to have withstood the shortage a little better than a lot of these other companies. Getting an Xbox Series X is still kind of hard. It's not as hard, I would say, as when it first launched in 2020. But Xbox Series S consoles are pretty available right now. I could walk into a store right now, probably, and buy an Xbox Series S. If you are having trouble building your PC, if you are having trouble getting an Xbox Series X, I think a Series S could be a great placeholder for you. Or maybe even your main console for the next couple years, who knows? Good evening. I'm Ray Trevino. You may recognize me as the host of Xbox Ready, or perhaps from my work on hit television series The Mandalorian. Thousands of tarnished across the world suffer from an affliction known simply as being maidenless. If you are one of those people, you might be feeling alone, isolated, afraid. But know that you are not alone. I too am maidenless. I invite my brothers to wear your affliction with pride with this patented maidenless t-shirt. Every purchase of this patented maidenless shirt goes towards a tarnished in need as he navigates the world outside the lands between. If you would like to join me and my tarnished brothers in wearing our maidenless affliction with pride, go on down to the merch shelf in the description or go to stayxboxready.com and use the code STAYREADY for a 10% discount on your purchase. Thank you and have a good night. Now, Windows Central a couple weeks ago ran a poll asking people to say what they found the most annoying about their Xbox experience, what they would like to see improved. And one of the top things that people said was the Xbox game DVR and game sharing needed a lot of work. And it was something that Microsoft executives came out and said, hey, game DVR, game sharing, we're really gonna focus on that this year. This is gonna be a priority to make that experience a lot better and a lot smoother. Which is why it came as a surprise to a lot of people, including Jez Corden over at Windows Central, when he was checking out the latest Insider build and noticed that Xbox game DVR game sharing was missing some features, it seemed. And while this may be temporary, it seems that the ability to share directly from your Xbox to Twitter is no longer available. Now, I gotta be honest with you, I did not know that feature existed in the first place. I don't know if it has to do with like the internal storage versus the external storage situation. I use an external SSD to store all my screenshots and all my game clip recordings. But the only option I have when I go to a clip that I just recorded or a screenshot that I just took is to upload it to OneDrive. Who uses OneDrive? Like, what the heck? I mean, and it doesn't even work. Like, I tried to upload it to OneDrive the other day and it said, uploading to OneDrive, check mark. Okay, it's done. And then I went to my OneDrive on my Microsoft account and nothing was there. Nothing happened. So yeah, I tried to take a screenshot of my guy in game. This is my character in Elden Ring right now. And I tried to upload that little screenshot to OneDrive and it didn't work. So I had to do the whole dance of taking out my external SSD, put it in my computer, crop the photo, and then put it to Twitter. Now, I know a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, first world problems, Ray. There's a lot to be worried about right now. I don't think it's a big deal that you had to take a few extra steps to share your Elden Ring character, as swagged out as he is, to your Twitter followers. But it took a problem that could have been solved in one step in like a matter of seconds into a multi-step process process, and that's never fun. As for why they're doing this, we don't really know. We don't know if it's going to be a permanent thing. Microsoft sometimes eliminates features that are low usage, meaning that if not a lot of people use them, then they're just going to get rid of them. But I personally think it's kind of annoying. It's kind of antithetical to what they were saying when they were talking about how they were going to make DVR a priority for themselves. They're going to make sharing game clips and screenshots a lot easier. This seems like a step backwards. Now, Xbox has taken away features in the past and put them back in. For example, Twitch made a triumphant return to your Xbox dashboard recently, so it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility that Twitter sharing is going to come back to Xbox. And like I said, this is just a feature that's being tested on Xbox Insider right now, so by the time this test build rolls out officially to everyone else on Xbox, it could very well change. So we're about a year and a half into the Xbox Series X and S consoles, this current generation of Xboxes. And so far, it's been pretty good. They've been selling pretty well. They've been crushing their sales numbers compared to the Xbox One generation for sure. Xbox consoles are selling better in Japan than they ever had, so things are going pretty well for Microsoft. I've been seeing a graph floating around on Twitter. I haven't confirmed the numbers myself, so take this with a grain of salt, but apparently Xbox consoles outsold PlayStation consoles last month, in the month of February of 2022. And personally, as an Xbox guy, that just warms my little old heart, man. I'm glad that they seem to be back on the upswing in the video game world. But just because the Xbox Series X and S is selling well doesn't mean that people aren't looking ahead to the future of these Xbox consoles. Now, typically in a console's life cycle, 3 to 4 years in, they release like an updated version of the console, like a Pro or Slim version. They usually have a revamped design and they have updated hardware. They have more powerful hardware. Yes! Now, over on Twitter, this guy apparently did some data mining and found that there was a code name for this upcoming Xbox project that may be alluding to a Pro version of the Series X. I don't even know what they would call it. Like, they've been all over the place with their naming conventions. Xbox Series Y, Xbox Series YX, double triple H, X box, I don't even know. So the code name for this is Project Keystone, and a lot of people are saying, well, it sounds very similar to Project Scarlet, which was the working title for the Xbox Series X console. But the real code names for the Xbox Series X and S, referring to the hardware specifically, was Project Anaconda and Project Lockhart. Project Scarlet referred to the software that was running on those consoles. And over on the Xbox 2 podcast, they were saying that Project Keystone is more similar to Project Scarlet in the fact that it's referring to some sort of software, not so much hardware. So what could that mean? No one really knows, and the people that do know are probably not going to be posting about it, talking about it on Twitter, or leaking it to anyone. Now, if we're talking about software stuff in regards to this project, it could be referring to a server thing, it could be referring to xCloud, cloud gaming. It could maybe be referring to a streaming stick, something that you can plug right into your TV and play on the xCloud. On the Xbox 2 podcast, they were talking about this potentially referring to a Windows-based software, so that would eliminate a streaming stick option because apparently that's going to run on Android versus Windows. But overall, it is very exciting to see that Xbox is working on new stuff. But I've been horribly wrong about my predictions in the past, so I'm trying to come at this with an even keel. I'm trying to be reasonable about this. As much as I would love an Xbox Series X Pro, Ultra Slim, XXX HD version of the console to come out, like I said, I can't imagine a world where they would release something like that when they're still having a shortage of their regular Xbox Series X consoles. Now, I have really been enjoying my Xbox Series X. Hopefully, in between now and the time that this new iteration of these current gen consoles come out, hopefully we'll start to see like next gen specific games. Right now, everything is cross-platform. Everything sort of feels last gen, but you know, it's an updated, more graphically intense experience on the newest Xbox Series X console. So hopefully when those consoles come out, we'll start to see like the power of the next gen consoles a little bit more. Now, if you bought a Series X, or if you finally got your hands on one, I don't think you have anything to worry about with this Project Keystone, but Xbox is working on the next thing. That's just how game development works. You put out one thing and you're like, okay, on to the next thing, let's go.